Hello friends, this video on communication systems part 1 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Topics to be covered in this lesson are introduction, what are communication systems, elements of a communication systems, terminologies, bandwidth of a signal, bandwidth of transmission medium, modulation and its necessity, types of modulation wherein we'll talk about amplitude modulation, frequency modulation and phase modulation, and then we'll discuss in detail about amplitude modulation. Okay, so let us have an introduction to this lesson on communication systems. So what do you think are we going to talk about here? When I say communication, first think about it. What all comes to your mind when I say communication? What do you mean by communication? Maybe the first thing that strikes your mind is speaking. We speak with each other. Why do we speak with each other? Because we want to communicate the information which we have to some other person. Right? Now, how do we communicate? How do we share information amongst each other? Now, with the advance in technology, with the passage of time, several new systems have come up which actually help in communication, or which actually help us in communicating with each other, not only when that person is near to us, but also when the person is far away from us. So when I think of these kind of systems which actually help us in sharing or in sending our information to some other person, there are certain things which comes to our mind. For example, the television. Now, when we watch something on a television, for example, the news which we watch on the television, do you think that the news reader comes only for us and he reads the news only for us? It's not like that. There are thousands and thousands of people sitting at different places, different cities, different countries who are able to watch the same telecast. So that is what? That is nothing but sharing of information. So that news is getting communicated from one place to so many distant places. So we can say that television has become a communication system which actually helps in communicating information. Or a radio, the computers which we have. For example, I want to learn cooking. I want to know the recipe of a particular dish. What do? Either I call up my mom and ask her the recipe, or I go to the internet, I Google it, right? So what is that? That is again communication, right? Computer is actually enabling me to get information. So that is also an example of communication systems. Or the satellites, the antennas which we have, telephone, the best example. Anytime you want to talk to anybody, doesn't matter where that person is. Maybe you are in India, the other person is in America. You can talk to that person whenever you want, right? So telephone or mobile phones, they have become a necessity of our lives these days. So these are some of the devices which actually help in communication, right? So in this lesson, our focus is to understand the physics behind the communication systems. What actually happens, or what is the basic structure of a communication system? So that is what is our agenda for this lesson, right? Okay, so with this, let us try to understand what are communication systems. How do we define? How do we exactly say that, okay, communication system will be a system which will have this, and this. So let us try to understand what is communication system. So what do you see on this screen? On this screen, we see two people talking to each other, right? So how do you think are they communicating with each other? I mean, let us suppose the person is speaking something The other person is able to understand what he is speaking. Why is it so? Because they are using a common language to transfer the information. Now, let us suppose if the first person is speaking in French, the other person knows only English. So he doesn't understand French. So do you think that there will be an effective communication between these two people? No, right? Because whatever the first person is speaking, the other person is not able to understand. So there is no effective communication between the two persons. So the communication between two persons will be effective only when they use a common language. There has to be a common language which the one who is speaking is capable of speaking and the other one who is listening is capable of understanding. Right? So whenever I say communication or whenever I say communication system, it is nothing but a system which enables the transfer of information. So what is communication system? It is a system that enables the act of information transmission. And now you must be seeing that I am using this term information quite often. So looks like that information is the key point in communication system. So communication system exists because information exists. So what exactly is information? What is that which we define as information? Well, information is nothing but any meaningful fact. We can say any fact which is known to us and which is meaningful is an information. It can be anything. It can absolutely be anything. For example, we are talking to anybody. We share our personal details, we share our name, what do we do, where do we work, what do I like, what are my hobbies. So when you are talking to a stranger and you are sharing these information, what are they? They are some meaningful facts, right? So that is nothing but information. Similarly, when we sit in front of the computer and we Google for something, we want to know the address of a particular mall or we want to locate a particular school. So we Google it. So what is that? That address is nothing but an information. It is a meaningful fact which is going to help you. So that is again an information, right? Now this information can be of many types. It is not always necessary that an information has to be data. Data means like name, phone number, address, whatever information you have in the form of data. So it is not always necessary that information will always be in the form of data. It can be in the form of a video. It can be in the form of audio. So when I say video, the best example would be your television. So we see so many things which actually is in the form of a video. For example, we watch movies, we watch serials, right? And all those things are again information. They are trying to give certain information to us. But that is in the form of video. Similarly, audio, when we listen to music or we listen to the radio, even in television, it is not only video, but video combined with audio. So now information can be in any of these forms. It can be in the form of audio or video or data. So we can say that this information can be in the form of audio or video or data, right? So now the question is, how do these transfer take place? That means how the transfer of data or transfer of audio or video take place from one place to another. Because here you can see that these two people are sitting just next to each other and they are talking. So that is why the other person is able to hear what the first person is speaking. But now let us suppose if the second person goes far away, the first person is sitting at Delhi and the second person goes to Bangalore. So do you think whatever the first person will speak, the second person will be able to hear? No, right? Because the distance is huge. But still, communication is possible with the help of telephones, right? We have these mobile phones. We also have the facility to chat in your computers over the internet, right? So communication is still possible even over very large distances. So in this lesson, we are going to see how the transfer of information takes place over larger distances, right? That is going to be our objective. here in this lesson, and I am sure that by the time we reach towards the end of the lesson, we will be able to achieve, or we will be able to reach our objective. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.